everybody, welcome to Cruise Shop Save, Cruise Chat with Melissa. And my special guests tonight are Jannie and Nadia. I cannot wait for you to join us. I cannot wait for them to join us, because we're already here. But just before we do that, Cruise Shop Save is all about giving you all the destination information. As the cruise ships start to open up, we're giving you information about the UK ports, about Galveston, Bahamas, Bermuda. So if you want to head over to our social media and follow us, we post practically every day. Also, please subscribe to our YouTube channel where we're live streaming every Friday. So without further ado, I need to hand it over to my special guests this week. Please welcome Jannie and Nadia.
Hi, Melissa. Hi, everybody.
Evening.
Hi.
Good morning. Good evening. Melissa, Jannie, nice to be here. This is going to be fun.
Exactly. So good morning, good evening indeed, because you are both from South Africa. But can you please just tell us a little bit about where you are right now? Do you want to start, Jannie?
All right. So, born and bred in South Africa, my family arrived in 1652 in South Africa. Half Dutch, half French originally. And then for my birthday, I had my DNA done. And it turned out that I'm 55% Germanic, which covers the Dutch, the French, and the German. And then the other part was 15% Norwegian, 15% Swedish, 5% Thai, and 1% Congolese and Southern Bantu. That was the makeup of my DNA. So, so I guess my forefathers, instead of marrying local, went across the pond to Scandinavia and brought one of those blonde ladies back. So I guess that's where it comes from. Very interesting indeed. Today I live in Miami. I was on a work transfer 2 years ago. I work for a company called Silversea Cruises. I'm here not in their capacity. I'm here to tell stories about long before that time. And yes, Miami based. And I've been here for 2 years.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Well, we can't wait to find out all these stories. And I have to tell everyone, I know right now that an hour is not going to be good enough. And I keep telling, every time I talk to Jannie and Nadia, I keep saying, you need to write a book. You need to have a documentary or something. But Nadia, please tell us a little bit about your story and where you are right now.
I'd love to. Thank you. I'm so happy to have Jannie on the same continent. I am in Seattle, Washington. I've been here just over 20 years. When I first arrived, I didn't think I would stay because, as everybody knows, it's wet, it's chilly, and it's often cloudy. I grew up in Cape Town, South Africa, and if you haven't been there, you should make a plan to visit. I was born about so many years ago. My mom was of Greek descent, so of course working on Greek vessels was really what I thought I was cut out to do. After starting on my first ship a long, long time ago, I finally made it from large ships to small ships, wound up in the US because my mom married an American gentleman.
Oh.
So it was all done for me, it was taken care of, and I'm fortunate to run tours to Africa today for US to Southern Africa, East Africa. But my home is Seattle, Washington.
Wow.
I still travel quite a bit. For Silversea, for other companies, and run a few of my own trips, but nothing as exciting as what Jannie and I did in our early days in the 80s and 90s.
Okay, so let's just dive in. What year did you two meet the ship? Set the scene for us, please.
Okay. I need to go first. Okay. Jannie and I met for the very first time on this very first day.
Yeah.
On a lovely vessel, the Constellation. The big discussion between Jannie and I, what year was it?
Right.
There's a lot of talk about whether it was, we agree on November. We're not sure if it was 1982 or 1983. But I remember meeting Jannie for the very first time on the top of the gangway in November, and I am convinced it was 1983, although I think Jannie feels differently about it.
Okay, Jannie, when did you first meet Nadia?
Well, I mean, Nadia's right about the constellation, and she's right about November. Now, she says 1983, but let me tell you, if you've known Nadia as long as I know her, it's definitely 1982, because I mean, it's the things we've been through. And at the end of the day, I mean, it's like, I mean, she's probably right, because in the end, she's always right.
Wow!
Yeah, I'm sticking to 1982. I'm sticking to 1982. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. And if we do write a book, it'll be about 1982.
We're live, and
Yes.
we have this recorded, so it's in the history books now, and that's good
Yes.
in the book.
Yes.
So what I love about this interview is, and please, we're just gonna. I just know that an hour is not enough, but when we talked the other day, the stories that you were telling me, I just want to know what. So you met on the Constellation. What cruise line was that?
It was K-Line, Cavalini.
K-Line's Hellenic.
K-Line Hellenic. It was a Greek cruise line, and our very first cruise director was a gem of a lady, Erica Sachs.
Erica Sachs.
Erica Sachs. I have not seen Erica since our first years on the Constellation, and I'll never.
Yeah, regularly.
And Jannie now meets with her regularly. But I was petrified of Erica. I knew nothing about cruising. I had never been on a cruise. I hadn't been on a sailboat. I was told that everybody was my boss. I was the children's hostess. And I really, really want to tell you the story. Erica, as all cruise directors, introduced the staff on the very first day. As clients embark and guests embark, there were lots of kids on board, and a colleague of mine from Cape Town and I were hired as the children's hostesses. Jannie was the company charter representative, and Erica Sachs was my first and our cruise director. Erica turned around to all the guests and said, "We have 2 child hostesses on board, and for any parents traveling with kids under the age of 12, you can have them follow Nadia and Terry to the children's playroom now." We walked.
Did we have a playroom?
This you know well, Jannie, that we did not have a playroom. We walked up the line and we had kids following us, 36. You know when you have a nightmare and it's like a rolling dream? I still see those kids rolling in towards us. We walked through the lounge. We hadn't been on a tour of the Constellation ourselves. The ship was sailing, choppy seas. We walked through lounges, past cabins, asking, "Excuse me, where is the children's playroom for the bambinos?" Everyone looking, and they get, "No children's playroom." We eventually went up to what we called the aft bar area. Jannie, remember that? At the back of the vessel. And we cornered off our own little playroom. We took the chairs. The barman came up. "What are you doing? This is for the guests. This is not the kids' playroom." We said, "We need somewhere for the bambinos." And with that, we made that the kids' playroom. Nobody would talk to us because we were turning clients away from them making money in the bars. Eventually, we found a little room, which was a storage room on the top deck. And we'd put the kids in there. And then we'd give them nap time between 2 and 4 so that we could have a break. And so we would sit outside, lock the door, and just watch the door because we were petrified we would lose these kids.
Oh my God.
I have to tell you, when I met Nadia, she was the laziest person on that ship. I had to wake her up every morning. I don't know. I mean, we met and we kind of were friends immediately. And I felt sorry for this young girl from Cape Town. I mean, not that I was that old, to be quite honest. But I woke her up every morning to make sure that she's on time for work. And that's true.
Is that true, Nadia?
No, well, to be perfectly honest, what is true is that the day we met, we've been best friends ever since. We have big disagreements, like the day and date we started. We are firm friends. And, well, I must confess, I was having a great time as a child hostess. I forgot to mention that I was also the DJ at night. So I was up
Not a good combination.
in the morning. So thankfully, my friend Jannie would come and wake me up to have the kids yelling in my ear for the morning and the afternoon. Very grateful. While Jannie, as the representative, would just stroll around. There is no ways. I had 2 jobs, and I think I might have earned $59 a month, Jannie. What was my salary?
I can't even remember. It's like nothing. I mean, we had people working for no money. But I remember that on that specific ship, if I think back, I had those big glasses that were fashion at that stage, a moustache, which I don't know where that came from. I had a bit more hair, and I used to play canasta with old ladies. That's what I used to do.
Is this resembling?
No, oh God. Where did that picture come from? It should be banned. No, but actually, the outfit should be banned. I don't even know.
I like the outfit.
But we used to work on these ships, Melissa, with no uniform. We used to bring our own clothes. There was no uniform. Yeah. You just used to bring whatever you want. And I mean, it's like, today it'll be unheard of if you see that what people are wearing, in those days. I mean,
so sorry.
I was thinking this morning driving to work about a very dear friend of ours called Terry Lester. Unfortunately, not with us anymore. But on one of these trips, we used to go to Mozambique Islands, and we're talking now really many years ago. So we had nothing to do for the guests on these places, but we used to sell tickets for nature walks. I mean, Terry Lester was a drag queen and an entertainer. He had no idea about what plant is what plant. But we sold tickets for $5, and Terry Lester would go out there and take people on a nature walk, and the passengers would come back and say, "Listen, Jannie, that man knows nothing about plants, but it's the most entertaining 1 hour I've ever had in my life." And that's how we survived. That's how we survived.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it was pure entertainment. Cruising was entertainment, whether it was meant to be or not. That
exactly.
Lean on humor and all the wonderful personalities of people that worked on board the ship. But you mentioned about uniforms. Nadia, what are you wearing?
Well, Melissa, I'm glad you asked, because I was asked by Jannie to put on a uniform for our interview with you today. I have many, many outfits that no longer fit, but this was one of our evening outfits that we were told to wear on a regular basis. I have a number of photos reflecting the uniforms that Jannie ordered and made us wear. We would have water taffeta outfits with shoulders that came out 8 inches.
Like this?
Where did you get that, Melissa? This is the Achille Lauro. Here we are in a skirt way below the knee. Do you see the Christmas tree? This was called the Christmas tree. And our team of staff, Jannie had a team of 20, and it would be roughly 10 girls, 10 guys. And every morning we'd have to have a discussion on what is tonight's uniform. And it would either be the helicopter outfit, the bows, the Christmas tree, fancy dress sometimes. Whereas Jannie was allowed to wear his own tux and whatever he liked. Wear these horrific uniforms.
I'm sorry to say, but that is an Oscar de la Renta copy. They were very high fashion then. And that, if you think back, when you have 18 young women appearing all looking the same, it's quite an impact. Doesn't matter what they wear, They look marvelous. But I know that those uniforms were very hot. And the aircon on these ships never worked in the Indian Ocean. But one thing that I would never allow staff to do is look hot. Sweating, I don't care if it runs down you. You were not allowed to fan like this. If you did that,
you were
gone. Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Another thing that Jannie taught us.
I just want to say that Erica Sachs is watching. I know she's busy.
Oh, hi,
Erica.
She's watching now. She's very busy helping someone set up, I don't know, in Bahamas, I think. She's always working. But Erica, we were just talking about you. So I know that you got to go, but has anyone got any more stories about Erica before she goes?
Oh, my goodness. Where do we start? Erica, I want to thank you. I want to thank you because after the 2-month season on the Constellation in 1983, I was in my cabin. And it was my last night on board, and I was due to disembark in Durban the next day. And I heard an announcement over the PA system, and I knew your voice very well. Nadia Eckhart to reception, child hostess to reception. I dashed up. I was in the shower. I had a towel turban. I had my robe on. and I thought I'd done something wrong. And she said, we've got 5 kids on the northbound voyage through the Suez Canal. Would you like to stay and be the child hostess? And that was one of the greatest opportunities for me, and is where I am today and why I'm still in cruising. So thanks, Erica. It was a nightmare of a voyage, but I owe a lot to you. So thanks a lot.
Oh wow, that's amazing. She said she's at True Love Diamonds in the Bahamas. So I know she's really, really busy getting set up for the cruise ships that are coming back. So nice job, Erica. Watch us on the recording if you can, or stay tuned.
Yes. So I think it was that same voyage, because so I used to work for an Israeli company who chartered the ship and brought it to South Africa. And it's that same voyage, on that same night, that I got a call from the 2 Israeli gentlemen that owned the company and said, would you like to sail on the ship northbound? To which I said I would. Oh, I didn't know what to do, because I won a bursary to go and study to be a hotelier in Switzerland. And that was where I was going to go next. And I phoned my mother. I grew up on a farm. The next day on the farm, we still had a party line. The number was 1221. So it's like touring. I don't know if you guys had that in the US.
We did.
You know, where you had tring, 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 it was the number to dial.
Yeah.
And I spoke to my mom and I said, you know, I'm on the ship now and I'm having a great time. And they said, I can stay. What should I do? And she said to me, are you happy? And I said, yes, I am. And she said, that's the answer. And you know, one of the things I will never forget in my life is Nadia says, is that night when I walked back into the lounge, the Greek band played Hello Dolly, but Hello Jannie.
Oh,
You know, I will never, ever forget that. Never.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. You know, these memories really stay with you, whether you work on board the ship or whether you're a passenger. Oh, here's Big Bobby saying, hello, everyone, taking a break from the ride and wanted to say hello to Jannie.
Oh, yeah. And from Renaissance. Yes.
Yes. So
he was my assistant at Renaissance.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, because I know he's on a Harley trip around the country. But
fabulous.
Yes, he's enjoying it. But he did say he is looking forward to sailing again.
Soon.
Yeah.
Soon.
We all.
Can't wait to get back out there.
I know. So, but yeah, the memories that people make on cruise ships are just life-changing, aren't they? Yeah.
I mean, today, you know, if you look at ships today, or, you know, you have Cirque du Soleil, and they do Broadway musicals and things like that. We didn't have that. We used to go, okay, what shall we do? Let's do a circus, you know, and everybody dress up and they've got roles to play, and this one's a magician and I one's doing that, blah, blah, blah. And we'd make, I mean, crepe paper. I'm not sure if you have this in the States, but it's the most amazing thing that we can do. And we used to make a circus tent. Thought nothing about it, you know, creative hour. On the Achille Lauro, 1,000 people for a tropical night. We made leis, you know, sit there with needles. Your hands were so sore. But that's what we used to do. I mean, it's like, and if you tell people that today, they think you're completely mad. But
I know.
No, we used to. And
cut down the palm leaves, remember? Cut down the palm leaves.
On the island.
Decorate the entire deck for 1,000 people. Everybody would be wearing, you know, hibiscus flowers. We'd run these creative hours for days. We'd have days. We'd all have to just wear our swimsuits and a little, you know, there was another uniform where we'd have just a little small flower skirt. We'd have to do these dance routines, which Jannie would insist everybody be involved in, while Jannie would direct. Oh, no, Melissa.
Yeah, but this, not which ship is this?
That was on the Astor. That was 1985 on the Astor. The beautiful,
so, you know,
beautiful
I just saw that she was being scrapped. So this is one night in Bangkok. We were part of the entertainment team. It was Nadia, Julie Rose,
Karin
van der Merwe.
Yeah.
And in those, God, however.
The dancers on board, the formal team of dancers, actually used to dance this routine. We were in their costumes and outfits, and lovely Dani, the late Dani, was the choreographer, and he taught us this routine. One night in Bangkok, when the world's your oyster.
Like a cruise show.
To do this in front of
Yes.
and 50 guests.
Wow.
And I got paid $56 a month and had the time of my life, and so did all the guests.
Yeah.
You know, the situations we wound up in. We ended in Germany at the end of the Astor, Jannie, if you remember correctly.
Yeah.
And we would often do the South African season and do the Seychelles Islands, Madagascar, do these really remote areas. A good friend of Jannie and mine, Lorraine, many people just know her as TB or Lorraine. She introduced expedition cruising on the Achille Lauro, which is a 1,000-passenger vessel.
Wow.
And he told the Italian officers, we're going to get together a fantastic barbecue on the beach in Bazaruta, and we're going to bring rubber ducks and Zodiacs from South Africa and these top-notch Zodiac drivers, and we're going to land 1,000 clients on the beach to have a fantastic beach barbecue. The Italians were, Lorraine, what you speak? And oh boy, Jannie, Lorraine, the whole team, Zodiac landings, 1,000 people, adults, children, barbecues in half drums.
Yeah.
Oh my
Barbecue. And then we charged people for that. And like Jannie said, we sent them on a nature walk. Or we'd find a little section and say, okay, you want to snorkel? $20.
Snorkel permit.
Snorkel.
Yeah. Because that's how we control the crowds. But Moss, I see Moss just posted something. Moss worked with us for many years.
Oh.
He's now one of the cruise directors at Silversea. So it's nice to see Moss.
Hey, Moss.
Thanks,
my gosh, Moss was there for all of it.
Ross. So we have to go back to the Betsy Ross. The Betsy Ross was going to be the cruise ship that comes to South Africa. I was in the office employing staff, so of course I gave the flagship for the charter to myself. And Nadia came down on the Achille Lauro, and then she was joining me. So it started off by a charter with a radio company, and we were going to the Comores. The Comores was then, I think South Africa maybe have just paid for the runway or something, and we were the first flight, the charter flight flying in on South African Airways to the Comores. The guests will go and swim for the day, and we joined the ship.
Yeah.
Well, it started when I think there's somehow a connection where the ship was running late, and then the entertainers had to came to South Africa. Julian Russell was one of the magicians that we had. And I remember going to to the airport to meet them, and all of a sudden, I mean, I made all these arrangements. The ducks and the doves must stay in quarantine, otherwise they're going to be gassed by the people. And the next moment, I'm sitting there waiting for the luggage, and there's the duck coming out in a crate. I'm going, the duck must go back. Anyway, so we flew to the Comores. I should have known then there's a problem. We flew to the Comores, and in the middle, so on the flight, I get called to the cockpit. There's a message from South Africa that the ship will be late. Okay. Didn't tell me exactly how late it is. So we arrive in the Comores. We send the guests off to go swim, and there was those Peugeot little trucks with the hard seating at the back. So off everybody goes. I had a box with $60,000 with me for to use, as we needed money. Well, little did I know that we're going to use that in the Comores, because the ship never arrived for 24 hours. So,
my goodness.
Yes. So there we are. It's so hot. I'm driving with the agent through the streets of Moroni, buying every loaf of bread and chicken and stuff that we can find to eat. We find this bush disco in the middle of nowhere. And I say to the entertainers, I want a show tonight. It is so hot. There we are. As they kill chickens in the back, they grill them, people are eating. We're carrying on spiders this big in the roof of this venue. They poor entertainers from the UK. Spiders struck. I mean, the drummer, bless her soul, she was like this, playing the drums, looking up in case the spider moved. And those poor girls, we made them come out in feather costumes doing New York.
On the beach. On the beach.
All right, so now people have to sleep. There's nowhere to sleep. So anyway, earlier in the day, I get a phone call and they say, "Oh, His Excellency, the President would like to speak to you." I go, "Oh, it's nonsense, the President." Turns out it was the President who explains that there was a problem. I mean, Julian Russell was with me. I said, "It's the President." He goes, "It's the President." He says, so I explained the problem. He says, "No worries. They're sending in the army to put up tents." I swear to God, there we are in this beautiful little boutique hotel, gorgeous gardens, palm trees, probably 20, 30 years old. The next moment, the army truck's moving, cut all that down and pitch tents. I mean, that night, everybody slept in tents, the ladies. The men had to sleep on the beach and fend for themselves.
Wow.
Next day, the ship arrives. My God. I mean, so here we are. I have no sleep. It's drama upon drama upon drama. Captain Nikos. Well, that is a very general name, so I can't offend anybody that's a captain in Greece. But he had a dog on the ship. From some stray dog. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So we would be in the middle of the ocean, so beautiful and it's calm, and you would hear a dog bark. And guests would say, did I just hear a dog bark? No, not a dog at sea. Meantime, Betsy was upstairs at the funnel area.
The dog.
Yeah.
Oh, Betsy the dog. Okay.
The dog. We used to smuggle her ashore in the trunk of our rental car in Seychelles and take her out for the day.
Yeah. I mean, and that ship, which was advertised to be so fabulous, turned out to be the biggest disaster ever.
And like Jannie was saying, Jannie chose the best vessel for himself, the Betsy Ross, which we thought, was the American Betsy Ross. And our company had chartered the Achille Lauro for many years. So we had half the team on the Achille Lauro, and Jannie had his choice of team on the Betsy Ross. So we're, communicating. I think it was like by text or something. How's it going? How's it going? And they go, "Oh, it's all great. It's marvelous." And we're excited because many of us are transferring over to join Jannie on the Betsy Ross when it gets to South Africa. We've got a full complement of guests. Jannie has a full complement. And then when we arrive in Durban, Jannie says, we knew that he was, he would want to come to us because he was familiar with the Achille. By the time we got to Durban, he said, "Well, why don't you come over mid-afternoon and just bring the whole team with you?" When I arrive, I meet Jannie on the gangway. He has got a suitcase and he's walking down the gangway as though he's leaving. This is the start of the South African season. And I'm going, "But my Scott, where are you going?" He goes, "Nadia, this has been the toughest trip of my life. I haven't slept a wink. I'm going to hand it over to you for 3 days while I just go and relax and catch up on sleep in a hotel in Durban. Good luck. See you later. Bye."
I have to tell you.
I am not Jannie, am I telling the truth here?
It's the truth. It's the truth. That we couldn't even print the daily program.
No. You were not there. How do you know? So I'm going to have to finish this because Jannie is down the gangway. I arrive. I don't, I sort of know the layout of any ship, basically reception. We have a little office. There was a lovely gentleman running the reception called Stelios. He was a senior Greek gentleman. We had a team of about 10. Chris Cumming, I will never be able to thank him enough. He was this tall, excellent host. They was in charge of fanning the photocopy machine. As Jannie was saying, we printed the daily program for 500 guests, 5 at a time.
Oh my God.
Overheating.
Yeah.
That was before the power went out.
Oh my God.
The dinner show, Robin Boltman, bless his soul, just recently passed, was up entertaining in the dark, as were all the other entertainers. He sailed out of Durban Harbour, and the captain called the office and said, "Can you come up quickly, Nadia?" When I got up there, he said, "Could you try and find any available flashlights? We're out of power, we're out of engine, no lights, and there are a lot of vessels entering the harbour here in Durban, so we need to be able to make ourselves visible to other vessels." There we are standing on the bridge with flashlights.
Oh my God.
So that we are not ramping on this beautiful Betsy Ross. Remember that?
I was just thinking about the fog watch we used to make people do. And that's where that came in, that training, using the flashlight when you guys were like that? I mean, did you ever do fog watch, Melissa?
Wait, you have to remind me because
So when you take the new people, and they have to dress up and go and stand on the bow and watch for fog, and then sit on the radio, call you. You know, that's what we used to do with fog watch.
It was classic.
It was
Classic. Russell was so good at it. Do you remember?
I do. And also, you get sent up on deck and for a long stand.
Yes.
4-hour watch, and with the radio.
You receive a phone bill and an electricity bill that you have to pay.
And call the bridge when you see any fog.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, that we never had sleep. I mean, we worked like dogs, and we still had time for all this nonsense, you know?
Absolutely.
That's what I remember.
So those are those traditions that you all did on the Betsy Rots and the Kililaro carried on. And so I was talking to a lady who was telling the story about If I Were Not Upon the Sea.
Oh, yes.
Did you do this?
Oh, yeah.
Many times. Many, many times. I was mostly the tailor. What were you, Jannie, the undertaker?
No, I was always the ballet dancer.
That's right.
Because you had a perfect body for a ballet dancer.
Right. I have a picture, I think. What's this? This is Neptune, isn't it?
Exactly.
I mean, don't I look stunning?
Fabulous.
This is crossing of the line.
Gorgeous. Is that Lily in the background?
No, I can't see. Let me put my glasses on. Who's next to me? Isn't that Towels? I can't remember. He was like I don't know if he's a puppeteer or something.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Jannie, I tell you what, you look absolutely gorgeous. You were obviously the queen for the crossing of the line ceremony, right?
Well, I would be nothing else. You know? Hello. I mean,
oh my gosh,
all these things we used to make up, you know, and there wasn't really a story like a script. No, we just used to make it up as we go along, you know, and have a laugh. And luckily we had people like comedians and stuff like that who used to kind of run the whole, you know, do the commentary and would just go with the flow and, you know, like ad lib.
Yeah, made it up readily.
A lot of it stuck because you had If I Were Not Upon the Sea, what else? What are the Neptune? What is that called? Sorry, I'm getting it wrong.
Crossing the line ceremony.
Crossing the line ceremony.
Yeah, when Neptune comes on board and initiates all those across the equator for the first time, you get a certificate, and we throw you with spaghetti and tomato sauce, and you have to kiss a fish.
Because you have to ask for permission.
And you have to remember that I came from a small town. I mean, I didn't even know there was a thing like Neptune, you know?
No. And I originally signed on for 2 months because this was the charter agreement. The vessel would come from Europe to South Africa, and we did 2 months. When I was fortunate enough to get the northbound voyage through the Suez, I was having the time of my life. I was engaged to be married. And I'd keep calling home and my boyfriend and going, well, they've offered me a lovely opportunity to do another 3 weeks northbound. I'd get to Europe, and then I'd ask, is there an opportunity for me to work in the Greek islands in Turkey for the European season? No. A week later, I got called, yes, you're signed up for the full summer season. I called the fiance again. Sorry, won't be coming home for another 6 months. And this went on for a year. And I got home 1 year later. And never stopped. Jannie and I just wound up on the same ships. We just kept doing same old, you know, big ships, small ships, working beautifully together. You know, we hardly have to communicate because we both know, you know, each other's strengths and weaknesses. As long as Jannie's the boss, he's happy with that. But I always get my way. You know,
but I have to say, Melissa, you know that Nadia and I could walk into a room and without saying a word, we know what had to be done to fix whatever was going on. I mean, I look like your fiance here now. It's the way you're holding on to me. I'm holding on to you.
Look at us.
Even wearing a ring.
Each other. You know, Melissa, Jannie also taught us what he called the PRO walk. We had no formal training to be hostesses. And so when we were given the title of PRO, Public Relations Officer, he would teach us how to walk into a room, okay, with a clipboard. We were all about clipboards. You know, they would have the name of the ship and the company. And you hold your clipboard. All the women, you know, were given company edition fake pearls. And we were told at all times, you smile, you look confident. And many of the cruise staff were shy little people. And they didn't know how to walk in a room and walk up to guests and sit down and have a conversation. How's your voice going? So we'd all stand in the corner, acting like PROs, checking our list. And then we were told to wave at somebody across the room. Not that anybody was waving back at you, but wave at somebody across the room, touch your pearls, and smile. And this is when there's a fire below decks, or whether we're on a port side list, or whether we are not sailing. We all have to act like everything is okay and be visible. Go into your PRO walk, he would say. We would wave, smile, and touch our pearls with the in action. Hey, Jannie?
So Julian right here, he hopes we discuss the greatest ship ever, the Betsy Ross. Hi, Julian, we do. But, so the clipboard thing, where did we see that? On the love boat. Remember Julie? She always walked around with clipboard.
Yeah. I wonder where you ever got that from. Yes. Oh my gosh, Jules, the Betsy Ross. We'll never forget the Betsy Ross.
Yeah. So we were just my favorite Betsy Ross story.
We were just talking about Betsy Ross. So play it back when you're not working, because we did get some of the stories from the Betsy Ross. Where is the Betsy Ross now?
Oh, long
no
gone.
idea, but I hope that she's
long gone.
She's razor blades and not Gillette, because that's the type I use. But we have to talk about the Betsy Ross. Of course, I had the creme de la creme of South African entertainment on board. You know, living in conditions. The sewerage was coming through the floor. No air conditioning.
You couldn't flush your toilet, literally.
Yeah. And I think almost for 20 days.
It was the
people used to sleep on the deck. Yeah, people used to sleep on the deck. They would come to the reception and say, "Hi, Jannie, can they take my mattress to the deck?" No problem, Mrs. Anderson. You know, we'll see you on the deck later. You know, we did stargazing, nonsense, keeping people busy. Nadia and I had to share a room.
Oh my gosh!
Oh God!
This actually gives me the shakes. I don't get nervous or have bad memories or dreams. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but this is the best story. Jannie, are you telling it your way, or am I telling
it? You tell the cabin story, I'll tell the water jug story.
So the Betsy Ross, you know, we've got the world-class entertainers, Julian, Moss, Robin, the whole lot. After the show at night, part of their duties were to encourage the guests to sleep on the port side ladies, starboard side gentlemen. We were short of cabins because some were flooded. Some were out of order, some were just not inhabitable. And at the end of the day, Jannie and I would always fall into our cabin, which would be the last worst cabin. We'd have to move cabins on embarkation day. All of the staff would have their bags packed. And if a client came yelling, we'd swap cabins with them just to keep the peace. So on this particular beautiful 18-day voyage, where our company's best clients had paid many South African rands to see the Indian Ocean Islands, we are not having a great time. It's a steam turbine ship. We're running out of water. People are not allowed to shower. No toilets. There's no power. They can't even cook meals. We're just without water. We're limping into the Seychelles. Jannie and I fall into bed. Now, when I say fall into bed, cabins on ships, everybody knows, used to be very, very tiny. We're on like Z deck, the very lower deck.
Can't close the door.
And the only way to get in the cabin, you open the door, you step on the 3/4 bed, closed door, fall flat. So it was so hot in there because there's no aircon. We leave our cabin door open. Jannie and I are two adults, and we are not married. We're very good friends, but we are sharing one 3/4 mattress bed. The bed mattress sags 100%. It is not flat. So when we climb onto the bed mattress, we are giggling, laughing, and just grow into each other, sticking to each other in the heat. Jannie, who is an entertainer himself, just has me in stitches. He has his telephone next to his bed and he's calling the bridge every 5 seconds. I want to talk to Otonayo. Flamo, I want to talk to Otonayo. The next minute, with the door wide open, we're in the guest area. Clients walking by and they go, "Oh, night, Jannie and Nadia. Night. We'll see you at breakfast, right?" And we go, "Night, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Yeah, well, all's good." That was when I lay there and I just said, what are we doing, and is this worth it? And we were not the only ones. All of the staff had to do the same. And then get up the next morning and put your Christmas tree taffeta on, and go and do your PRO walk with your clipboard, or go and entertain clients and do a magic show.
Yeah. Lynn was on the ship with us. I loved it.
Yes, Linny was there. Linny was there.
But
she did Atlanta Airport. Safe travels, Lynn.
Yes.
Thanks for watching the show.
So I had the great opportunity.
Linny! Oh, Linny! Hi! I've got my glasses.
So I worked in the office as well. And one of the things that I kept when I left was the complaints file about the Betsy Ross.
Really?
And I always said that we should publish that.
Yes.
Because that was hilarious. Sadly, it burned down on a fire we had on the farm. But I remember the one lady wrote and said, she took the brochure, it says, "Your spacious cabin." She'd have a photograph of her with her hands on each of the walls. There was nothing spacious about it. But then she writes about all the other things. And then she says, "I could handle not having a toilet. I could handle everything. But when I saw my cabin waiter, Yorgos, biting the ice into smaller pieces to fit into the water jug, that was the end for me, And I wonder how many people saw that kind of stuff. But I have to tell you, even with all of that, I remember coming into port and my boss said to me, "Jannie, there's press everywhere." I said, don't worry, we'll fix it." I threw a deck party like you cannot believe.
That's for sure.
3 booths. People were sloshed. The press took one look at people dancing and said, "There's no story here," and left. But that's how we managed stuff in those days,
And with Linny, who's a very dear friend of mine, ours, who also resides right here in Seattle, she's been doing this as long as we have, literally on the Achille Laura, 1987, all the voyages. Lynn, on this particular voyage, was appointed by Jannie as the shore excursion manager.
Yeah.
Not that we had any, formal training or been scouts into these places. Lynn's bank was a plastic bank bag where she carried all the guest excursion money. So Lynn would stand behind our little office, sell the excursions. And on this particular 18-day trip, where we are missing ports left, right, and center, we're just canceling. So the guests want their money back. And we're like, oh, no. Lynn was found on top of a table in the restaurant trying to save the money bag because the clients were all mobbing her and saying, "We want a refund, we want a refund." And Lynn would be late. We're working on the refund. And then was arriving in the Seychelles. The Seychelles is the most beautiful islands in the world. Even today, it's one of the best top destinations. Jannie, our cruise director, makes an announcement. Because if you look outside, even if you're not into navigation, we were traveling at about 1 knot. And this trip was used to traveling at 17 or 18 knots. And we're all looking at each other and we're doing the PRO walk because then goes, "Go out there and talk to the clients." We're like, "Well, what do you want us to tell them?" Because we are 7 hours late, so we're not even going to go ashore today. We are limping into the port of Mahe, Seychelles. And there is a very small islet or island on the starboard side. Jannie makes an announcement and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, join us on deck. It's beautiful scenery. We're approaching the Seychelles. And we have Palm Tree Island on your starboard side." The island's too small to even have a name. 1 hour later, we are still passing Palm Tree Island, just in case you missed it the first time. We continue passing Palm Tree Island for about 3 hours. And then we arrive alongside in Mahe, Seychelles, in a marine reserve with exquisite, clear crystal water. And unfortunately, there was a little technical error and the sewerage was pumped accidentally into the harbor. And we were arrested, as in the ship was arrested and our captain, along with our cruise director, Jannie, was waltzed down the gangway.
So now I'm in shorts in the court in Mahe.
Oh my God.
Then I got also held up for attempt of, what did they call it? Because I crossed my legs. I had shorts and flip-flops, but that's allowed. But do not cross your legs in the court. That's contempt of court, yes. Anyways, and then the judge rules we have to pay $20 million to have the ship released. I'm going, we're not paying that. The ship is not even worth $20 million. But you know, Melissa, through all this, the guests were on our side. We had them eating out of the palms of our hands. We could have told those guests, because they started laughing about the palm tree island thing, because they knew what was going on. We kept them informed. We didn't hide anything, and they had our 100% confidence. And people left that ship and said, if you sold this trip again exactly as it is, I will book it.
Wow.
Yeah.
One time we spoke last week, and back to the story where people actually slept on the beach. You told me that the guests said that they had the best cruise ever because it was an adventure.
Exactly.
That's what's missing now. It's also cookie cutter. There's no adventure anymore,
Yeah,
and
that is the truth.
I think I mentioned the name the other day, Giuseppe Marconi, who in a previous life of mine was a hotel director on Royal Caribbean. And we had that bomb scare on board, which was in the news. The young lady who was pregnant and wrote the notes to herself. But even then, I loved Giuseppe's approach. They're calling me 3 o'clock in the morning. Hey, Jannie, come to my office, but make a shower first. So, I shave, go down, and he says, let's have a coffee first. So then he had this huge espresso, typical Italian in his office. And we would have a coffee, and then we discuss the whole bomb thing and how that turned out. It was also just about the day I ended my contract to go and leave. So it was the last thing I felt like. But it gave me the chance to see Hawaii from a completely different angle. We saw it during the daytime, all the beautiful waterfalls coming down. It was just amazing.
Incredible.
So lots of stuff. I remember phoning Noel Seekers, who was the head of entertainment, then my boss. I said, well, Noel, so we have the bomb. What do we do now? Play bomb bingo? Because nobody knew what to do. Here we are in the middle of the ocean. The FBI says we have to continue sailing. But by then, I must say, Giuseppe and I worked out who's guilty here. We're like a little bit of FBI in our own, And after 10 espressos, your brain works that way that you know what's going on. So it was interesting times. And of course, then we progressed to better ships, more luxurious, etc. Which, but I still think that this was the best training route. I know Nadia spoke about the Zodiacs. Today we have expedition ships and we have a fleet of Zodiacs, Zodiac drivers, etc. In those days, we didn't have that. No. We had someone on the pier standing, and you would come and say, hi, my name's Melissa. I've got a boat for 10 people. We'd go, hi, Melissa, fantastic. Pull up, we load your boat. And that's how we used to do it.
Yeah, and that was the best. 1,000 guests carried ashore by top South African Zodiac drivers, all licensed and all different sides. Lynn's brothers would bring on their boat, and they would just be loaded on the deck. And in the night before, the chief officer, the staff captain, actually, the most wonderful gentleman that we all adored, his name was Gentilomo. And he would say, so how we do this tomorrow? The Zodiac to the beach. How is this operation? We go, no, Mr. G, don't worry, it'll be lovely. He goes, but the wind. And we go, no, we do Antarctica. This is going to be just fine. So help me at 4 o'clock in the morning. He starts putting all the boats down. Drivers are there. Clients are zipped ashore on the island of Bazaruto. Barbecue extraordinaire. And Lorraine would just be standing up on the deck and go, well, that's how we do it. The clients loved it. This was expedition cruising in South Africa in the 80s.
Yeah. Wow. I remember.
That was really fun.
In Portuguese island.
Yeah.
We still had those. We still had those. The life boats like they used to wasn't covered. No. I think that cruise line hoped that you would fall overboard and drown.
We didn't have life jackets.
No.
We didn't have Zodiac life jackets in this. We never had an injury. We never had a loss of life. People just had an absolute blast.
But
and
that's where we had the
still
fire.
keep in touch with us, some of those clients,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I want to know. Sorry, I'm sorry, Jannie.
No, go ahead.
Well, I want you back on the show because I know there's a ton of stuff that we've talked about that we haven't talked about yet, but we've got 10 minutes left, and I just want to know where you guys are now and what are you doing and how this previous life has brought you to where you are now. Jannie, do you want to go first?
Okay, I want to just mute myself for a second.
Oh, sorry.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
Sorry.
Let me know if you want me to go, Jannie.
So years ago, so that's how we started, and then I ended up in the office of a cruise line in South Africa, and I employed all staff. And as I progressed through the ranks, I joined Renaissance Cruises, Royal Caribbean, went to Abercrombie and Kent for 15 years, and then 4 years ago, one of the young men that I gave a job to in South Africa phoned and said, "Jannie, I would like you to come and join our company." And he was, and still is, with Silversea Cruises. And today I report to him, and he's the senior vice president of Silversea, Conrad Combrook. And I work for Silversea Cruises now, and I am the director of events and experiences worldwide. And I curate things for our guests that they experience on world cruises. So I handle all that kind of stuff and do amazing things. I mean, we buy the rights, and him and I think it's because we work together and we think together, maybe because we trained. One of the things we're doing next year is we bought the rights to Carmen Suite, the ballet, and we're going to perform that for our world cruise guests in Seville. And in the evening is called Carmen Comes Home. So because that's where the story comes from. And, so amazing things we do. So I am with Silversea, and yeah.
And so how do you think
what I do?
I can tell, and what you do is remarkable. Silversea's experiences are second to none. No other cruise line have these experiences, and it's all thanks to you. What do you think has been the number one factor to why you're so successful with Silversea?
I think it's the training we had by all those things. So today, I mean, if I think back, I think because we did through that whole thing in the Indian Ocean where we worked with, rubbish, if you want to call it that, because that's really what it is. And we used to put a lipstick on a pig and make it, something out of it. Doesn't matter what it is. We used to do that. And I think that ability to really just take any situation. I mean, I think back when one of our charter flights came from Chile with guests off a ship, and Conrad wanted us to make people feel welcome. And I was in Dallas on a Sunday afternoon, and they said, "What are we going to do?" I said, "Well, let's try and find an events company." We found someone. He said, "It'll look like a Texas ranch." I said, "No problem, bring it." And I think the ability to think on your feet and just today still make something out of nothing. That's
Without a doubt, Jannie is very creative. He thinks all his knowledge and experience and can create an event that is memorable forever and a day. He's got some events.
You can't train someone to do that, really. It's your world experience and everything that you've gone through.
And his creative mind,
Yeah, honestly, Annie, you really, really, really need to write a book because
the wonderful thing, Melissa, is that whatever I get to do is a blank canvas, and Conrad and we spoke earlier today, and he said that when the two of us start brainstorming, we go down a rabbit hole. We just carry on till it's complete and we know exactly what we want to do.
Yeah.
But I think also our guests, and it's always the devil's in the detail.
Yes, always.
The devil is in the detail. Yeah. And people notice those small things.
Absolutely.
They notice those.
You know what? Actually, Jannie, you've hit the nail right on the head because it is the small details that people remember. Those people that slept on that beach will remember the sunset or the sunrise.
Yeah.
You can't something. They'll have remembered something amazing about that, not the big picture. It'd be the small things. That's amazing.
And as we develop everything and things changes all the time, and I think this whole COVID period has given us all time to look at things that we would never look at. So it's how we can involve smell, touch, feel, all those things in whatever we do, because whatever we spoke about today is triggered by something else. And that's what makes the memory.
Yeah, very true.
That's amazing. And how about you, Nadia? How did all of those experiences from the 1980s and 90s prepare you for what you do today?
Similar to what Jannie said, our original 10 years were like no other, where we were thrown in at the deep end and 300 people would walk up the gangway on a small cruise ship in Africa and we'd have to invent a conference. Or we'd be told, take these guests for 2 days with no itinerary and take them on a safari. So with that, I was also very fortunate to meet on the Achille Lauro, Lorraine Betts, who worked for the expedition company called Society at the time. And she gave me a job as a shopkeeper in Antarctica. So with those experiences and the destination knowledge for adventure travel, I was able to then start my own company. My passion has always been Africa. And I have a safari company called Africa Easy, and I put together custom designed safaris to Africa. But I am still very involved in expedition cruising. I am still fortunate to work for Silversea Cruises, and like Jannie, I am extremely grateful to the Senior Vice President, Conrad Combrink, who still hires me today to put together tours for the expedition Silversea ships in Africa. I love, love, love what I do, working on the land arrangements to these remote areas, be it Madagascar, Senegal, Cape Verde Islands. And then I still go out and lead a couple of trips to Antarctica, Greece, Africa, and my own safaris. But everything that we learned the hard way. We learned thinking on our feet. And I can be sent to Mongolia and make a trip up and go along with it, as long as I have a good guide and a great group of travelers. I have no fear not speaking the language, not knowing the area. I'm off on a trip in a couple of weeks' time, and I'm so excited.
Really? Where are you going?
I can tell you where I'm going, Alaska, which is exciting. And it's going to be some time at a lodge on shore, some time cruising Southeast Alaska. And everything that we learned through the 80s and 90s on ships that were on fire, that were sinking, teamwork, and just having the knowledge of the destinations and the people that you've worked with for so many years have got me where I am today. Also the passion. You have to have a passion for travel and adventure.
As Nadia was talking, I was thinking, Nadia was the cruise director with the Achille Lauro, and she handled everything on board and I was on shore. So while she was sinking, I flew in a Learjet to Mombasa to go and meet everybody.
That's another story. That's a very long
that is another story.
I wasn't alone.
Yeah.
We had excellent help. I mean, we had a team. Like I said, we had a Starlight Cruises team. Our captain and everybody made it happen.
Well,
that's a long story. Achille Lauro, the beloved blue lady, we used to call her.
Oh, and that's a picture of her behind you, isn't it?
Exactly. This is the Achille Lauro. It's a hand-drawn painting from one of the crew members many, many years ago. But so many of us spent many, many years. Jannie and I on and off for 8 years. And this is where Lorraine started expedition cruising. But this was really a beautiful vessel and came and traveled, visited South Africa for 8 years, Indian Ocean, not without her problems. And we've also got so many stories on this vessel. Oh, my word.
I was thinking earlier when Nadia said that staff share cabins. I remember the life-saving cabin on the Achille Lauro was P87. It had 8 bunks for staff members to sleep in.
Oh my God!
With JD with the hand, remember? JD with the hand, all that.
Yes.
Oh my God!
Yes,
I have all these pictures I haven't even shown, and I really hope you've enjoyed the show. I really want to know if you'll come back, please, because probably several times, because we have to tell the story about the Achille Lauro.
Yeah,
our audience will want to hear that.
Well, Melissa, thanks for the opportunity.
Gosh, no!
Great.
Oh my God, no! Thank you for your time. Honestly, this has been such a pleasure. I can't believe an hour has gone by.
I know, it's incredible. Wow,
I know.
Crazy.
Yeah.
You two are amazing. You need to write that book. In fact, I think there's a series of books here.
May I just say that Nadia, I trust her 100%, even more today than ever before. So I have the great pleasure of handling also a few very, very VIP guests that we have planned these trips for. And whenever I need someone to go out and look after them, Nadia is the one to go.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And Melissa, only because I know I have the backing of Jannie and that he's put it together, and I know if I need help, that's the gentleman that I can call. He's taught me what I know.
Well, that's quality, and any guests that sail with Silversea or have any of these experiences must absolutely love it. And I hope that they know who is behind it all.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm thinking I did a trip in Japan. Sorry, I'm going over time now, but it was amazing. Okay. We took 200 guests for 3 nights in Japan.
Oh, wow.
It was like a military operation. And it was amazing. And now we have all these overlands for guests that we offer, etc.
Oh, it's amazing.
Cruises and some amazing stuff, which next time we'll share with you.
Next time we'll talk more.
Absolutely. Lots more to talk about. Would love to come back, Melissa. Thank you.
Oh, please do. But I put in the comments, I put your website, Nadia. So head over to Africa Easy. And of course, Jannie, the experiences that you can have on Silversea if you just head over to the Silversea website. But thank you so much for your time. Please come back. And if you're watching this, thank you for watching. And we'll see you next Friday where we have another live guest. And Jannie and Nadia will be back in the future once we can arrange it.
Well, thank you for listening. Much appreciated.
Have a nice evening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye now. Bye-bye.